Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Planning Board meeting, October 5th, 2021. My name is Kathy Barnard. I'm the chairman of the Planning Board, and let me introduce the other members. Starting way down at the left is Von Dugan. Sitting next to Von is Peter Goodwin. Next to me is Mike Hodder, who is the vice chairman. On my right is John Thurston. And then Brad Harriman, who is the representative from the Board of Selectmen. And Julie Jacobs is our alternate. Julie, would you be willing to sit in the place of Susan Replier?
Yes, I will.
Okay, great. Then we have seven members. Okay, we have two public hearings. Let me just quickly go through the procedure for the public hearing. First of all, the applicant describes the procedure and how it meets the zoning regulations. He then may ask for a waiver. If that is the case, he then has to justify it. The board would then make a motion to accept or deny the waiver and then proceed from there. Then, presuming that the application is complete, we will make another motion that the application is complete and any members of the public can speak at that time. So, the first item on the agenda, Household Trust, Robert Norton and Susan Sexton, Stoneham Road and North Wakefield Road, tax map and lot 122-1, 138-9, 138-91. This is case 2021-19, and this is for a boundary line adjustment for 3 lots.
Hi, my name is Ted Wright. I'm a licensed land surveyor for White Mountain Survey, and I'm here to represent these folks for this boundary line adjustment.
Okay.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's pretty straightforward. We have one lot of a little over 28 acres. We want to split it in half and attach it to the 2 adjacent lots. I've asked for one waiver for surveying the entire properties that abut this, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, and could you explain why you think we should grant the waiver?
It's both properties have been surveyed previously.
Okay, all right. Okay, any questions on the part of the board members? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to grant the waiver?
Sure, I'll be happy to make a motion to grant a waiver from 174-7B, parens 4, parens G, boundary survey for application number 2021-19.
Okay, thank you. Motion has been made. I'll second it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. All right, and now it seems to me that the application is complete. If that's the case, somebody want to make a motion so that we can...
Seconded.
Okay. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Okay, we can now open the public hearing on this item. If anyone wants to speak on this as a member of the public, now is your opportunity to do that. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public portion. And Tavis, did you have any suggested conditions for this application?
I don't. Typically with these, we require monumentation and recordation, but in this case, there's going to be new deeds created to transfer the land, so I don't see the need to do the monumentation.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Everybody okay with that? Okay, then I've closed the public hearing, and now it's up to the planning board to make a decision. Does anybody have any concerns about this? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve this application.
So moved.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, great. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, the next application, Kingswood Golf Club, Inc., at 37 Kingswood Road, tax map and lot 232-2, case 2021-20. This is a site plan review for a maintenance building at the Kingswood property. Are there any member who wants to recuse themselves?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay,
Madam Chair?
All right.
I also do, because I'm in a butter here, so.
okay, all right, so Brad will be recusing himself, and Vaughn. My grandfather back in 1914 was the golf pro until 65, but he's gone, so I guess I don't have any reason. Anybody else have anything? Okay. All right, go ahead.
I'm Randy Tatro, Norway Plains Associates for the applicant, which is Kingswood Golf Club. We're here tonight on the site review regulations. They're proposing to erect a 40 by 90 storage building that will service the existing club. It'll be located about 150, 160 feet from the existing caddy shack building that's there now that they use for storage and maintenance work on their equipment. With me tonight is the president of the golf course, Dave Lynch, and Scott Lawler, our engineer, and eventually, whatever questions are asked by the board, one or both of them would be able to answer those. But I'm before you because about 8 years ago, we came before the board with like an overall plan of the club. We were asked to come before the board, and there was a lot of discussion of what was their master plan moving forward, and they've done a couple improvements, a little bit of paving of a parking lot and so forth, but they finally settled on where they would like to put this storage building and the need for it. So again, that's why we're here tonight. The building is located in a wooded area. It's going to be surrounded by a wooded area or the existing building on the south side. So we didn't do a landscaping plan or anything for that based on the feedback we got at the TRC meeting. We do have a lighting plan that meets the requirements. Scott will be able to speak to any of the drainage questions the board may have. If you've looked at the plans, you can see that all the drainage is being directed to a stormwater management basin in the rear of the property. It's been sized accordingly. That was an original concern by the TRC back when Mr. Lynch came under a preliminary to the board. Again, I think everybody's familiar with where the parcel is and the proximity of where the building is to the rest of the course. So obviously, it's located off of Kingswood Road, on the westerly side of the course. Again, where the existing building is used now. We haven't proposed any parking or anything that would require, kicking the landscaping requirements in. So at this point, it's a dry building. It's going to have power, but it's not going to have any water or sewer. So there isn't any proposal to do anything with that. With that, I will answer any questions you have, and if they are related to the business operation with the club, Mr. Lynch could answer those, and if they're related to any of the engineering details. Scott could answer those. We did ask for a waiver during the TRC discussion, there was some comments about whether or not a waiver was needed, for the architectural standards. That was something that came up. We did provide a waiver request for that. If the board has any comments to how that waiver request was drafted, it was by me, so I should be able to answer those. Again, it was based on a discussion we had at the TRC. And so in that section of the regulations, there was a lot of items that didn't apply to this particular case. So I felt it best to just ask for a waiver to the whole section. But I did state that it was more specifically kind of related to the type of building, because that was one of the items in that list of items. So again, if you guys have any question as to why, or think that needs to be adjusted at all, just let me know.
Okay, any questions?
I
on
have
the
a
waiver?
question, and my question would be, is this building going to be seen by anybody other than people who are actually playing the golf course?
We had that discussion at the TRC, and if you know where the area is, the area is partially cleared right now where it's going, so we're not having to clear too much where the building is. There's going to be some clearing in the back where the detention basin is, but that same woods line that's there now that separates the fairways is remaining intact. We're not touching that. And again, there's quite a extensive wooded area to the downslope side. You may be able to see it if you go down Kingswood Road and maybe get a glimpse of it past the existing building. I'm not sure, Peter, but unless you get like a drone or something, I wouldn't see where you could, you're not going to see it from the road. If you look at the overall that we've got, you can see where it's situated and how far away it is from everything. I guess that's the best I can answer that question.
Would it be seen from the residential houses on the other side of the property?
I don't believe so. I mean, maybe they have a different opinion. Maybe when leaf drops, they might get a glimpse of something over there, but it's quite a ways and there's quite a wooded buffer in there.
I have one question, small question. It says this proposed concrete ramps. How tall are they?
They're just flat. I'll let Scott answer that
Oh, it's just
question.
like
They're basically
like a pad?
just a small grade to get something into the
Okay.
into the
It
doors.
said ramp, and I'm thinking,
Yeah, no, they're just a apron, more of an apron. Yeah.
Okay,
Hi, Randy. Is your building sided?
I believe that it's metal sided. It was just the reason for the waiver.
Okay.
I'll let Dave speak to that, the president of the club, because they've been talking to various companies they've been dealing with to order the building.
Okay. So your retention basin, I was looking through the plans here, and I didn't see the profile of the media mix that you were going to use in there.
I'm going to defer that one to Scott. Scott should be able to answer any of those particular questions. That's a little past my lane, but I know that there was standard requirements for certain types of that. So I'm going to, again, I'll defer to Scott, and anything more from me, I'll be right here.
Madam Chairman, before Randy goes, do you want a motion regarding the waiver? Since we're now getting into things that are not specific to the design standards?
Did you want to hear anything more about it, waiver?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Okay.
I'll be happy to make a motion to waive 173-19B in its entirety.
Okay, and I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, then the waiver is granted. Okay.
My apologies, John Thurston. What was your question about the riprap, was it?
No, the profile of the drainage basin, I didn't see your crushed stone, wood chip, sand, loam mix profile on the cut sheet.
Okay, this infiltration basin is not designed as a bioretention, which would have that. So we basically are maintaining 3 feet of separation from the bottom of the basin the seasonal high water table, so it's just going to be natural soil.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, the waiver has been granted. The application is now considered complete.
So moved.
Thank you. Somebody want to second that? I'll second it. Okay, oh, sorry, Peter. Oh, okay. All right. All those in favor of accepting this application as complete, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. If there's any member of the public that wants to address this issue, why don't you come on up to the microphone and tell us your issues.
Good evening, John Teller, live on Kingswood Road, and I'm representing the Kingswood Road Association. And one of the questions we have is, do you have any plans to improve the road that already is pretty poorly settled in various areas and crushed on the side? And I think that there's going to be a substantial amount of weight that's going to be put on that road in addition to what already has damaged the road. So we're just wondering if there's anything that will be done to improve the road.
Okay. All right.
Good evening. I'm Dave Lynch, the president of Kingswood Golf Club. At present time, we don't have any definitive plans to improve the roadway to the existing maintenance facility or the new facility. We don't feel that it's necessary at this time because the equipment that's already in that area has basically been left outside over the years, and we're just going to be putting it into the maintenance building. It's all equipment that doesn't weigh very much individually. From a construction standpoint, we would anticipate following the basic guidelines for load limits during the late winter, early spring, so that we wouldn't cause any additional damage to the roadway.
Okay, so basically the equipment that's being stored is already there.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
mowers, tractors that don't weigh very much.
Okay.
Do you plan spring work?
Pardon me?
Are you planning spring work, or when do you think you're going to get going on this?
We probably wouldn't be able to erect it until the early summer. And because it's away from the golf course, if you will, in the wooded area, it wouldn't impact our operations.
So the retention basin, it said you were going to build those berms with a clayey material. Are you just going to keep a lot of the material right on site?
Scott?
Yes, Mr. Thurston.
Yeah. So you won't be trucking a lot of stuff out then?
We shouldn't need to.
Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you.
One question.
Yeah, okay, why don't you come on up?
Yes, there will be cement trucks and excavator trucked in during construction, as I said, in the months that are allowed to go over normal roads for the load limits.
Another question, if I may. In the original existing building, you have a gravel area where you're currently parking equipment, which you intend, now that you're going to get, or if you do get this new structure, to lodge there. Question is, will you need this gravel area on the original building anymore for staging equipment? And if not, could you return it back to something closer to its original or appearance?
The proposed area that we're want to erect the new building is on that cleared area.
It's on, actually, according to my map, it's on the left of the cleared area. The original building has a gravel area just below it on the plan.
think what Mike is asking is the original gravel area that goes around the existing building.
Yeah.
That they use to get around there now.
Yeah.
Most likely, they'll be keeping most of that because that's how they turn around and get the things in and out. That's what.
A question about when there seems to be some issues with damage to the road, and when was that damage actually incurred? Was it incurred when there were signs up or there was a spring thaw, or was that something associated with the golf course?
There was some heavy construction down on the bottom of the hill of Kingswood Road this past winter and early spring. And there were some very heavy over the normal road limits. But as you pointed out, it is a private road, and so the town does not post it as such. And some of the heavy trucks for concrete and equipment put additional wear on the road.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, but
And that is true. There was some heavy equipment, but at the owner's expense that lives on Kingswood Road repaired the portions that were damaged on Kingswood Road directly in front of the club. So that was taken care of by one of our residents on Kingswood Road.
okay, thank you. And any other questions? Tavis, did you have some conditions for us to consider?
Just have some standard recommended conditions, Madam Chairman. The first just simply refers to the plan set that's in all of your packets. The second is the applicant's responsible for construction guarantee as outlined in the site plan regulations. Number 3, the applicant responsible for payment of all recording fees. And number 4 is the ever popular, the most restrictive in the document in the file becomes the controlling document.
Okay.
Given, I'm going to suggest this, though. I'm going to leave it to the board on the construction guarantee. There's nothing terribly difficult about the construction. Again, it's not on town roads. It's not accessed. We're not protecting a public interest with this. The only thing to make sure is that the retention pond is put in correctly. But insofar as it's not a detailed infiltration basin, there's really no need for third-party inspections other than to make sure someone can prove it's 3 feet deep when it's done. It meets the site plan.
So that'll be the codes office that will inspect that?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so is everybody okay with that?
Not altogether sure, Madam Chairwoman. Requiring a construction guarantee is standard. I'm not sure how we would craft requiring a construction guarantee for this particular project. That would have to be up to the planner. But usually we require a construction guarantee to make sure that the applicant does what we have given him permission to through the descriptions of the project in the application. If the board feels comfortable, I'll go along with the board, but I have a certain degree of concern.
Just so the board understands what happens, if the board were to approve the application with that condition on it, I would take a copy of the approved plan, send it over to the third-party engineer who would come up with the cost and estimated number of inspections. Once the money is put into escrow to cover those costs paid by the applicant, then a building permit can be issued and we move forward. And then, as we will discuss later this evening, once it's all done, we'd look for a return of those funds. So it's just literally adding another inspector to the inspection list in this case.
My understanding of what you just said then is included in the wording in number 2, your condition number 2?
That is what the site plan regs call for, yes.
All right, very good. Thank you, Toes.
So I'm a little concerned with the standard going forward. If we have other projects that are on a private road, what are we going to do? I don't want to set a precedent here and then somebody else doesn't get treated the same.
Well, we're not, as far as I understand, we're not making any changes to the standard operating procedure. That condition number 2 does require a construction guarantee. Tavis and the engineer will figure out what that's supposed to be. and then make sure that the work is performed appropriately. We're not setting up anything special for these guys that we're then going to have to set up for everybody else or deny them and therefore be unfair.
Understood, thank you.
Okay, is everybody all set?
Would you like a motion, Madam Chairwoman?
Yes, I would.
All right, I'd be happy to move to approve case number 2021-20, Kingswood Golf Club, as presented with the 4 conditions enumerated by the planner.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve this application. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a voluntary lot merger, and it's called the Hopperwitz Voluntary Lot Merger, 158 Governor Wentworth Highway, tax map 134-009 and 010. And as I said, this is a voluntary lot merger of 2 lots. Anybody have any questions about this? Actually, the lot is a back lot without any frontage.
Oh, I don't have anything.
Oh, you didn't, you were just waving. Oh. I'd be happy to move to approve this voluntary lot merger.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve this voluntary lot merger. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, very good. Okay, now, in your packet, you got a copy of the 2022 Capital Improvements Program. We're actually going to do that at the next meeting because it does need a public hearing, and we didn't have time to do that once the Capital Improvement Committee got done with the job that they had to do. So, you want to say anything
I
else?
simply put this on the agenda because the Capital Improvement Program Committee is done, has come up with this final document, and I didn't want to just schedule the public hearing for the planning board's next meeting and have everyone coming in cold with the document for that meeting. So now you just have it a couple of weeks early so you can review it and come up with any questions, et cetera.
Okay, great.
Will you be able to get those 2 spreadsheets that I mentioned, Tevis? The debt service and DPW's capital reserve account schedules for the board?
They are not in this packet, no.
They're not. But they were part of the CIP.
I'll get them out.
Thank you.
Okay, Master Plan Committee.
I'll start. I'm speaking because I have to do the minutes tonight. So Master Plan Committee, we banged the drum, shook the carpet, and we have 2 interested names. One is Linda Murray and one is David Marr from the Economic Development Committee. David was a bit on the fence, so I'm going to leave it to the board, this board. If you want to move forward with the committee with Linda Murray, Peter, and David, we could do that. Open for board discussion. Originally, you talked about 3, 5, or even 7 people on the committee, so right now you're at 3.
Is this implementation, master plan implementation?
Correct.
Yeah.
In
What
my
was
opinion,
David's last name?
in my opinion, I think in some ways this committee is looking at what boxes have been checked off and which ones haven't. And so it is not something that you need to have a dozen people on, and I would say that 3 people, especially if there's one on the planning board and one of the select board on the committee, that would be sufficient to deal with this issue. And if this other person wants to join at a later date, that would be fine, but I don't really think we need to have a huge number of people.
Okay, and are you going to chair this, please?
I thought that was a given.
All right.
it is a given.
Okay, well,
I didn't think there was an option.
Can you say the
I
name?
did say
of-
please, right?
Can you say that name again, David Mayer? Maher.
There, Dave Marr.
Okay,
He's chairman of the EDC.
okay, so
I don't know.
Peter, you'll go ahead and get the committee together and go through a procedure, when, in January? Okay, all right, because we don't really see the need for the committee to meet a lot. Is that correct?
And I think that we should try to have a meeting at least before November, or at least in November.
Oh, okay, all right.
This, next month?
This month or early November.
Just to get your feet wet and
Yeah,
So we need therefore to get back information from the various places that the information has been sent out to.
okay, well, all of the committees do have their top 3 priorities that they're supposed to be working on this year. So that's why I said sort of January. Okay. All right, well, great. Thank you very much. Okay, the return of the escrow fees, LP Gas, Grove Street.
And so you simply have a letter in your file. This is the parking lot over on Grove Street. They were required to put in some landscaping up along Grove Street, and that has been installed. The plan is done to satisfaction of the plan as approved by this body. If the board is willing, I'd recommend a motion to return those escrow fees, and I can proceed to the selectmen with that in hand.
Okay, in the past, sometimes we've held on to some funds in order to make sure that the landscaping survives through a year. Is that necessary in this case?
I don't believe so, because the landscaping was approved, so if it's not available or viable next year, we just have them add more. It would be violation of their approved site plan.
Okay, all right.
Is there an amount that we usually retain for spring growth?
Typically 10% is held,
yeah.
but really that's just holding money in this case. We're literally talking about 3 trees.
You okay with that, John?
I'm going to take Tavis's word for it.
Oh, okay, all right, good. Okay, any other questions? All right, then, somebody wants to make a motion to return this escrow fees to LP Gas?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Okay,
Is there a Red Sox game on tonight by chance?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, because this group is flying.
Okay,
having a tough time keeping up.
2022 meeting schedule, everybody has that. And the housing opportunity zones.
Okay, were there any questions on the meeting schedule? Anyone's going to let me know if you have any inherent conflicts, et cetera?
I was actually thinking next July. I might not be around, but it's still iffy.
July, okay.
It's like,
One in every crowd. The reason for doing it this early is to make sure that we get Great Hall secured, et cetera.
I understand.
That's fine.
Okay. So housing opportunity zones. Body. Expressed in the memo at the last planning board meeting with town council and asked if that changed the question, and she said no, see the earlier. So effectively, if For the public, what this says is, what role does the planning board have in moving forward with housing opportunity zones? And town council said the planning board has no role here. Then moving forward toward the end, if the planning board is interested in encouraging this to move forward in Wolfeboro, I would recommend that the planning board authorize the chair or others to write a memo to the Board of Selectmen to show planning board support for the selectmen moving forward with housing opportunity zones.
So the planning board has no role here other than advisory, which is a surprise to me, because it's not the way I read the, at least 4B.
Well, that's where I got to the same place you did, you know, based on the way I phrased the question. My previous experience with 79E, obviously I only have one other town to balance it on, but that town made a point of designating a town center for the purposes of defining a village district that then became available under 79E. So it made sense in my mind that the planning board would need to determine the zones, and then the selectmen could move forward. But
I can't imagine how the selectmen would have the expertise to decide which zones should be HOZs. At the very least, without the advice and counsel of the planning board, I would feel that the identification should be made by the planning board, and the selectmen accept the planning board's expertise and accept the designations proposed by them, but then selectmen are a different board than this one.
Well, it says here that we can send them a memo saying that what it is we would suggest.
Yeah, can't we still in that memo just say what, you know, what overlay we thought might work?
I think that Tavis's suggestion was a good one, that the board should ask the chairperson of the board to present the case for housing opportunity zones to the selectmen, along with the fact that the planning board unanimously voted to make the entire town, other than the shorefront residential, a housing opportunity zone overlay. And then, you know, urge the selectmen to, one, adopt 79E4B, and two, to declare those particular zones housing opportunity zones.
and I'm
Okay,
happy
so
to-
it would be a two-step process, right?
Yeah, it was always going to be a two-step
Yeah,
process.
right, yeah.
But now it seems that we only need to have one warrant article, which will be written and proposed by the select board. And then what housing opportunity, once 79E4B, assuming it is adopted by the town, a town vote, the selectmen then decide on their executive authority what zones are to be HOZs.
Okay, all right, any thoughts?
I just have a question. If some guy's coming to town and wants to do this whole thing, is he going to have to go to a select board meeting first to say, ooh, do I qualify for blah, 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 and then get the okay, and then on to planning board?
My guess is they would come in, meet with me. I'd recommend a design review, not a site plan review, but a design concept review with the planning board to see if that's going to work. Get a sense for planning board's comfort with the density based on what the regulations say, et cetera. Then that applicant would set up a preliminary meeting with the Board of Selectmen, an outline of what that contract might look like. And then if that continues to pencil, if you will, they would come back for site plan review. Once they have site plan review, that gets recorded and added as an appendix to the contract, et cetera.
It still goes through planning first, bumps over, and then goes back. Okay.
Okay, so what is your pleasure?
Move that the planning board instruct the chairwoman of the planning board to present the case for the housing opportunity zones as moved and approved by this board to the Board of Selectmen, and urge them to adopt 79E4B, and if and when it does become adopted, include as part of the HOZs the overlay district described by the planning board. That's a long motion, but it's a motion.
Got it.
Seconded.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, motion has been made and seconded.
Mike, could you just repeat the last part of that again? I didn't catch the,
The idea is to, I can't remember exactly what I said as the motion, but I'll give you what I remember saying as a motion. That we're asking Kathy to present to your board, the select board, one, that we recommend 79E4B be adopted. Two, if it is adopted, that we recommend that the select board adopt the planning board's recommendation of where those HOZs are to be declared, everywhere other than the shorefront residential.
okay.
Seconded.
Okay, all right.
Again.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a motion.
Keep screwing your face up. Do you have a question?
Well, I just read the letter of encourage us to work together with the selectmen. I don't know where that's going to fall in. I mean,
I think that's the process, John.
okay.
We can't, we can only, in this case, if Laura is right and being how she's our counsel, one has to assume she is, at least work as if she were. We have to recommend to the select board that the town adopt, that they write a warrant article, see if the town will adopt this new RSA. And then if they do, then the select board has the authority therefore to declare where the HOZs are to be set. And so we've participated in the process in the beginning by urging the selectmen, and then subsequently by suggesting what the HOZs ought to be. This is not adversarial.
No. I'm wondering if we need to give them any facts or any details or any other meat on the bone to support the cause. That was.
I have a feeling once the memo goes to the selectmen and if it makes it through town meeting and the vote is awarded, the selectmen might ask for some more follow-up as to how to implement, and then we can provide that.
Okay, so what the selectmen could do is adopt 79E with the, all of the zones except for the shorefront.
Well, they adopt 79E, which gives them the authority to waive property tax for a term of years to be set by them on any application that they want to.
Oh, okay, so they don't have to say that which zones it's going to go in, right?
According to Laura's letter, they decide where these HOZs are to be put, too. But we have already figured out where we would like them to go, so we're going to tell them that's where we would like them to go, and we would assume that they would rely on our understanding of the zoning in the town as a little bit more considered than theirs, and they might decide to adopt our suggestions. That's how it kind of works.
Okay.
The other factor is the only thing that I believe is in this regulation is a 10-year tax abatement. It's not as if we're, churning the earth here.
No, that's all that it is. It's just, if the RSA is adopted, then the selectmen have an additional taxation authority they can waive. Where they waive it is entirely up to them. So we suggest to them where we think it ought to be waived most advantageously for the growth of the town.
Okay, all right. Okay, so there's a motion and a second on the floor. Does everybody understand the motion? If so, everyone who's in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, all right, very good. Let's see, public comment. Any member of the public wants?
Just in time. Good timing.
Suzanne Ryan, for the record, Wolfeboro. I don't know where you are with the 79E4. I mean, you may have been just talking about it. With a statute, you must read the whole thing. You don't extrapolate out a section to get a full understanding of it. This 79E is primarily for the benefit to enhance downtown and town centers and in-town residential uses. It also to encourage the rehabilitation of many underutilized structures in the town center and encourage growth in economic growth. It is also encourage rehabilitation of historic buildings. And when I listened to your last meeting, there was discussion of an overlay for the whole town and new development. This is primarily focused on rehabilitation of existing structures and the revitalization zone it's not mandatory, it's optional, may be adopted, and it is for tax relief of owners of a 1 or 2 family home, 4 or more units, which are 40 years or older, significantly improve the quality of existing residential structures. There's one small section in there for housing opportunities. That's at 79E4C. However, it is with the intention of water and sewer. Developers, you all know, you work with developers all the time, but developers are not going to put something out in the outer skirts and maybe in the 5-acre zone. If they have to put their own water and sewer in, that adds substantially to the cost. And if they put it in our 2-acre zone where there's water and sewer, if they're not directly able to hook up, it's substantial costs that would deter a developer from doing something like that. But the one other thing I wanted to say about it is that I tried to fold my pages down. The public benefit, 79E7 public benefit, enhance the downtown, enhance culturally and historically important town center, village, promote existing building stock, promote development of municipal patents, and increase residential housing in the urban or town center. And then there's one thing I think that you'd be interested in, which is the last thing I'll say. The provisions of this chapter, and that's the whole of 79, not just pick out what you like. The provisions of this chapter shall not apply to properties whose rehabilitation or construction is subsidized by state or federal grants or funds that do not need to be repaid. So it's all these pages is that statute, and it's more than just what I heard at your last meeting, and I really hope you think about it. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have any additional thoughts? Okay, Tavis, anything else we should be dealing with?
I don't think so. Next meeting is going to be the public hearing on the capital improvement program from the capital improvement program committee. I am going to attempt to have a draft of the housing chapter for you to look at that time.
Okay.
And I may also have a proposed modifications to the wetland conservation overlay district.
Which district?
Wetlands conservation overlay district.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay.
But that will make more sense at your next meeting.
Okay, all right. Okay, next item is the approval of minutes, September 7th.
I I don't know is on page 3 near the bottom. Peter Goodwin stated the real issue is with contour maps and final grading. Notice it's difficult to see the comparison. And then it says the further reviews such. I don't know what that means. I would add somehow the changes need to be made more obvious to laymen regardless of the standard practice. I think was my meaning.
And Peter, it looked like I followed up your comment by suggesting a cut and fill diagram.
Yes, that's fine. And the
Cut and fill.
you know, I spent a long time trying to figure out what the contours were meaning, and when he said the standard practice is such, then it sort of became reasonable, but it's like it should be just easier to see.
Okay, so you want that amended then, right?
That would be an amendment to the minutes, that extra sentence.
Okay. Great. Anything else?
On page 5, where section Mike Hodder seconded the motion, has this board heard from Brewster in regard to the tie bond request for information?
Brewster has not responded.
Brewster has not responded. Okay, we'll let that be in the record that Brewster has not responded to 2 requests by the planning board for information.
Okay, but you don't want anything in the minutes changed, right?
No.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I have page 8, middle way, it says Roman numeral 7, approval of minutes. It says correction, page 1, member present, strike Von Dugan, add Chairman Barnard appointed John Thurston, member to sit in for Von Dugan, alternate.
Good
I don't
catch.
recall that.
Let's see.
So alternate should just be scratched, just to sit in for Von Dugan, probably.
That would have been Julie.
Right.
It would have to have been Julie.
I think
Julie, yeah,
Julie was
not John.
supposed to sit in for.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a member can't sit for another member.
That would make sense because it says alternate.
Okay, well,
So strike John Thurston and put in Julie.
okay.
And then I got one other one here. The Dunkin' Donuts traffic. Board discussed the issue of traffic from Dunkin' Donuts backing up onto Center Street and the safety issues related to such. And John asked if Tavis could look at the Dunkin' Donuts site plan to determine if two-way traffic is prescribed on Center Street entrance. Because all I'm thinking is in the wintertime, when somebody comes down that hill and it's all slush and somebody tries to pull out there, they're going to get T-boned. And again, I think I don't believe that's the way it was designed.
No, you're right, John. I remember talking about it too.
So could Tavis get back to us?
We did
on
ask
that one?
Tavis to do it.
I will get back to you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, but in the meantime, you want John asked Tavis to look into the traffic patterns.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
He said he would.
Okay. This is for Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, all right.
I move to approve the minutes as amended.
Seconded.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve these minutes as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, moving right along here. September 21.
I just have 2 questions on the minutes on page 2.
Okay.
Article 4, the board agreed to the following revisions. The last one of those bullet points, has staff confirmed the permitted size of a sign is 24 square feet?
Yes, you asked me that.
And you can confirm it?
I will confirm.
You will confirm it? Okay, so that's yet to be done. And then on page 3, Article 9, second paragraph, Kathy Barnard requested staff review requirement threshold to notify residents, that's an important one. Done. What is the threshold, do you remember?
I would have to go read it again, basically, by making sure I was comfortable with the statute. I know what abutters to include.
Okay, but it has been done. All right, thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, but no changes.
No changes.
Okay, anyone else have any changes or amendments? Okay, if somebody wants to make a motion to accept these minutes of September 21st.
So moved.
Motion has been made. I'll second it. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, anything else on the horizon? That's a no?
Well, there's nothing official on the horizon. We are absent a minute taker, so you'll have to bear with me on your next round of minutes. I have asked the chair of the ZBA to see if the ZBA would be willing to have a person on the ZBA do minutes. I would ask the same of the planning board. I know that's not typically done by the planning board. But perhaps the planning board will rethink after seeing what minutes you get after this, after this meeting. The town has been advertising for a part-time person to do minutes and other such things for the Board of Selectmen for at least 6 months with no interest. That actually pays a little bit more than the planning board, ZBA, EDC person. So currently, we're just like everyone else in the country. We have more jobs than people willing to take them. I know that Amy Muccio is beginning at least a preliminary analysis to see what it might, how the town might better solve the minutes taker conundrum. So I'll report back if I learn anything.
Okay, Brad, how are the minutes taken at the Board of Selectmen if you have no recording secretary?
Taken from the television broadcast recording for special meetings, or we do have a recording secretary there. I remember what the last one was. It was fairly recent. I'm trying to remember what the event was. But occasionally we do have a person there, but for the most part, they do take them off of the recordings.
Okay, and who does that? I mean, who's?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know if Amy does Amy do them now, or we did have somebody doing it, and then she covered for a little while again, and. There is another lady that came in. I'm not sure what her name is, too. There is somebody that does part-time anyway with that.
Well, I think it's a really important issue that we have minutes. And
Is this something that we could hire?
I can offer to the board, there's what many in town are used to as minutes, and there's what is statutorily required for minutes.
right.
I've already statutorily satisfied minutes. It's the motion, the second, and the vote. So it's what was talked about. Some communities talk about this as an action agenda. So for the purposes of getting something online within the requisite 5 days of a meeting, we can stay legal. But I know everyone is much more accustomed to, I don't want to say transcripts, but something much more akin to a transcript than actual minutes.
Is this the type of thing that we can hire outside the community, to a recording type company?
Sure, but the town hasn't budgeted for it. And right now we're in the midst of budget season. So potentially if planning board has X and zoning board has Y and EDC has A and selectmen have, maybe all of those funds can go together. One solution would be a full-time person, but you say that in the budget committee, and that doesn't often bode well. But again, even if you hire someone, you're probably hiring someone and paying some proportional share of their benefits and retirement and everything else. So it's not an easy thing to solve. Again, for those of you that haven't heard me say it, if you drive through the Alton traffic circle, and look at McDonald's. You said, need fries, need a job, we have both. Everyone is looking for people.
Yeah, well,
Ironically, McDonald's is,
I get all of that,
Yeah.
okay?
but
But
what I'm saying is
it's
we're
still
without someone and we
important to have
can't get
minutes.
someone in. Yes, that's the issue.
Right, right. And I mean, several of the committees I'm on, I'm chair and take the minutes, and, you know, it is not easy.
Right.
And you don't get very good minutes. And so that's why I'm concerned about it.
Well, I take the minutes also, and it's you have to go back and rewrite them and figure it all out, and
Right.
it could be up to 3 hours for a meeting by the time you get done finalizing the document and making it understandable for everybody's desires. I don't know as if we're making it attractive in the cost end so that people can say that they would be willing to do it because it's, you know, good money. I mean, it's an obligation that I think is it's our responsibility. Fortunately, there's people that volunteer like myself and Kathy that do it in a lot of the other meetings, but I wouldn't see myself doing it in this style of a meeting.
Yeah, right, right, yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from too, John, yeah. Okay, well, does anybody on this board want to take minutes? Oh,
Not that
okay.
you'd like to read.
What?
Not that you'd like to read. I do it very poorly.
Yeah,
Trouble with taking minutes is you can't really participate in what's
right,
going on.
yeah, right.
So,
Have we tried high school guidance or anything? Student?
It just seems that there are outfits out there that do take minutes. And if we have money left in the planning board or planning office budget, it seems that that could be used for that. Are you listening, Tavis, or not?
I am, but this is the fun of participating and doing minutes.
yeah, he's taking minutes at the same time.
Yeah, right, right. Because I think it's an important thing that we need to deal with.
Well, one thing I'd suggest is if the person who is recording the minutes is putting them down, if they don't quite do it right, then the board ends up making the corrections and makes the amendments. And, you know, so therefore, in some ways, there's not a whole lot of pressure on the person who's actually recording them, because we are then responsible for approving the appropriate minutes. So, you know, they don't have to be perfect.
Right.
I think that in the past, people have done a pretty good job of what the minutes are, so.
Okay, well, I had my say, I guess.
We're gonna make it easy on you tonight, Tavis, because it looks like we're gonna cut out.
Yes, right, because we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 8:05. If somebody would like to make a motion.
So moved.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, till next time. Thank you, folks.